Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hattrick's Unofficial Flyers podcast. This is Rick Mullen. I'll be your host tonight. And this show will be dedicated to reviewing the game the Flyers just played last night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Bad turnout for the Flyers. It's not what us, the fans, wanted to see. And I'm sure it's not what the Flyers wanted to see either. Flyers lost 2-1 in a shootout win by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Could have made up some points here tonight. It was a big game for the Flyers. The Flyers had like a 4 point points on the table here. They're chasing Columbus, and Columbus walks away with 2. Flyers walk away with 1. So, net Columbus Blue Jacks went back up by at least 1 more point. So I think they're like 3, 4, 5 points ahead of us at this point. It's slipping away here, fans. The Flyers playoff season is slipping away here, and we all knew it. We kind of know it's almost impossible for them to get to be in the playoffs this year, but they're still mathematically in this running. So are they going to get there? No, probably not. They're not going to get there. But it's just nice watching these games thinking, man, what if they did? What if they went on that run? What if they were able to win these games and get in the playoffs? It would be such a incredible feat. It'd be a great step ahead for the team, and I think the fans want to see that. But this team just isn't built that way. This team struggles. Our goalies are just. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me go back on that. Vlad is killing it for us. Vlad is keeping this team in these games. Vlad is standing on his head. We couldn't expect Vlad to be this good when we signed Vlad in the offseason. Didn't have any idea that he was going to turn out as good as he is. And man, he is playing well beyond my expectations. I think well beyond the Flyers' expectations, and feel really bad for him. Yeah, really do. If this team could just figure out how to score a goal or two more per game, they'd be winning these games, and it's sad that they just can't figure this out all these years. So Columbus outshot the Flyers, I think, like the end of the second, like the going into the third period, or at the end of the third period, like 21-11, something like that. It was a crazy off balance. The Flyers barely had any offense, and when they did, it was weak opportunities, and they weren't able to convert on anything. A lot of the team looked banged up. TK's, not looking so strong out there. I think he's dealing with a lot of injuries, and again, I think there were some things that happened tonight that added to this loss, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So, a couple things during the game. Barkey ended up getting boarded really hard, and from behind, knocked to the ice. It wasn't a good thing, and he looked hurt. He did go off the ice, and he was off the ice for a while. He came back in the beginning of the period, but he wasn't on the bench at the start of the period. So we thought, maybe he wasn't coming back. But it was nice to actually see Barkey get out there and actually recover from the hit that he took from Columbus. It was good to see Barkey be able to get back on that ice, and not just come back and show up to play. But most guys who get buried like that, they come back and are tentative. And Barkey wasn't. Barkey wasn't tentative in any way, shape, or form. He came out hard. He came back from the injury, and he played just as hard as if he wasn't injured. So good for Barkey. Kudos for him to get up and actually come back out and play hard for us. The Flyers and Columbus were going into this game. Like I said, it was like a playoff style game. Should have been. Both of them are fighting to get in, and both of these teams are close to each other, or at least were. And Columbus came out and they scored first. And crazy stat here. There's a crazy stat here, but the Flyers are first in the league with allowing the first goal in the most games played. Crazy. I mean, that's crazy, but we're always coming from behind. We can't seem to get a jump on the teams or put them away early. It just doesn't happen. Flyers are give up that first goal and then chase the game all night. So it was really sad. But this game was predictable when you started watching them and you started seeing, how they were playing. They were playing poorly. They didn't play really that hard. They came out flat. They didn't drive the net. They didn't put a lot on the net. Obviously, they had 11 shots, I think, after two whole periods. I think they finished the game with I don't know, 17, something like that. I have to look, but the shot count was like way off. They put nothing on the Columbus goalie, and you're not going to score unless you do. I mean, you got to put pucks on net, and you have to drive the net. Got to be looking for rebounds, and Gretzky said, "Can't score if you don't take the shot." So, hopefully they start listening. They start figuring out how to shoot, because we have a lot of guys who had opportunities. And I was watching this, and I thought, man, shoot the puck, shoot, shoot, and they wouldn't. They go for that last pass and miss it. Where they go to burn that last defender and couldn't get around them, and they lost their opportunity to shoot. So this team lacks confidence in shooting, and they need to work on it. I don't know if there's drills that can be done during practice where all these guys do is just shoot, like shoot, 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 shoot. So they get it in their head to shoot the puck when you can. Shot opportunities don't come around too often, and so when you have it, you got to take it. You just have to. And this team doesn't. This team chooses to make that one last move, to try to get in a little deeper, to try to make that one last play, that one last pass, and most of the time it doesn't work out for the Flyers. So, Rick Tocchet, he's back to baffling me a little bit here. Man, his line combinations are just makes no sense. It just doesn't. I think there's like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. It's a tie game, 1-1. And this is a big game for us. Columbus probably don't care. I mean, they do. They need to get points to get into that last spot, but they're not chasing us. They're not behind us. They had this game in hand. They felt strong about it, I'm sure. And the amount of shots we were giving up versus what they were doing was well off balance. So I think Columbus going into the overtime for them was way better than us getting to overtime. We should have tried to win this game. There was 4 or 5 minutes left in this game, and it was important for us to get shots, get a goal. And, Tocchet goes and puts out probably the slowest line I've seen the Flyers ice in a long time. He goes and puts Glendening and Coots and Grunstrom out for a pretty decent long shift. It's baffling. I just don't understand why he doesn't shorten that bench and put out the guys who have a chance of winning a game, a chance of actually scoring the game. I mean, Coots has 2 goals in the last 30 games, and one was an empty netter. It's just crazy. And Glendening is so slow. He's so slow. He's not getting anything to the net. He's a waiver pickup for the rest of this year, and then he's gone. We understand that, but why put that line on the ice? I just don't understand. Talk just baffles me with his decisions, and it's a shame. I wish he was sharper. I wish he went and shortened his bench when the games mattered, but he doesn't, and we never seem to be able to win. And I believe a lot of it has to do with his decisions, and a lot of it has to do with the Flyers power play, which we're going to talk about here, because this is crazy, crazy insane. So the Flyers power play success percentage, right? From 21 to 22 was 12.6%. 22 to 23, they were 15.6%. 23 to 24, they were 12.2% effective. 2024 to 2025, they were 15%. 25, 26, the league or the year we're in currently, the Flyers as of mid-March here are 15.2% effective. We are ranked 32nd last in the league in power play. That's why we lose games. That's 100% why we lose games. If I were the coaches of this team, knowing we were lacking talent, knowing that regular strength goals are hard to come by for this team, I would have this team practicing multiple different lineups, the power play, moving the puck, shooting, figuring out plays to get shots. Just over and over and over and over and over again, I would be putting different line combos out there throughout practice, getting guys used to doing a power play, setting up a couple set plays, and just getting shot after shot after shot. Then when you get into games, you do the same thing. If you put out a line, it doesn't work, use a different line the next time. If this combo isn't working, but 1 or 2 guys look good, keep them on the ice, but give them 3 more new guys. And I would just focus my energy on this power play, because in reality, the Flyers had 4 power plays last night. 4. They went 0 for 4 against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And that's the difference. That's the difference makers. If they can pot 1 of those 4, 2 of those 4, we win that game in regular time. We had 4 minutes at the end of the third, and we did nothing. We barely got the puck in the zone, let alone got shots on net. We had 2 minutes, I believe, in overtime, and we didn't do anything with that one either. We choked. This power play is the reason. And don't get me wrong, I get it. The Flyers are filled with a bunch of stars. They win and lose sometimes in regular time, but when you look at what these Flyers have available to them to win a close game like this, we're always either tying, going to shootout and winning, or losing in overtime. This does not have to be. If they could just turn around and get a little production from their power play, one goal, one goal in these tight games makes a huge difference. And it did tonight. This team could have won. They didn't win because they can't score. They didn't win because their power play is atrocious. They didn't win because they can't even figure out how to get up the ice and in the zone and set on a power play. And that's what I would be focusing on. If you don't have the stars to do it, you need to take these groups of guys and just practice and practice and practice and practice and get this power play better. It doesn't have to be, first, second, third in the league, but if it was 50% better than what it was, halfway, up the league standings, this team would be winning a lot more of these close games. The Flyers, if they have a new bench boss for the power play, he's not working either. Our last one didn't work either. So really what comes to mind is the players are the reason. The players are the reason this power play don't work. And if you're putting the same guys out there and it's not working, then shame on you as a coach for putting those same guys out there. If you need to change them up, regardless if they're your highest paid players or your most veteran players, you get them off the ice. If they can't score, if they can't generate offense on a power play, then they shouldn't be out there. Let the kids run. Change it up. Just keep changing it up until you find some success. If I was the Flyers, if I was Danny Briere, I would have a really hard talk with Tocchet, and I would tell him I was bringing in a power play specialist. I know it's late in the year, but guess what? Any increase in this power play success is only going to roll into next year. So I would bring somebody in here who knows how to run a power play. Hands down, bring them in. Let them run with this for the rest of the year. Let them teach these guys how to do a power play. Let them figure this thing out, because it's been 5 years that the Flyers are less than 15% successful on a power play. It's a disgrace. That would be my number one thing as a GM that I would do to improve this team. And I think, again, if they did, they could get maybe one power play goal a night. There's a lot more games that we ended up losing in overtime this year that wouldn't even have made it to overtime, and we'd be in the playoffs. So in my opinion, it was just a complete incompetence on this team to figure this power play out earlier in the season after 4 years of it being league bottom. This year should have been a focus, more attention, and finding guys who can play on a power play and make it work. Yeah, I sorry, long-winded. It was a tough game to watch. I kept screaming at my TV. You had Denver Barkey get cross-checked. Ref puts his arm up. We know the Flyers are going on a 2-minute power play late in the game, and guess what? The guy on the ice, I forget who cross-checked Barkey, but he figures, you know what? I'm doing it again, and he just kept cross-checking him. So the refs, you never see this. The refs gave him 2 penalties on that play. 2. So we had a back-to-back 4-minute power play towards the end of the game, and we did nothing with it. Nothing. It's terrible. It's terrible to sit there and, as a fan, watch this game knowing this is it. This is it. Like, this is our chance. And, man, horrible. It was just a horrible power play. Can't get any success on it. Can't get the puck in. Whatever system they're running to skate the puck in doesn't work. It's just terrible. Dump-ins don't work. Nothing's working. So focus on it. I mean, hopefully they hear this. They hear the fans, and they know it. They know they're terrible, and I just don't know why there's not more attention to it. When you're terrible and you go out and do the same things over and over again, that's what's that? The definition of stupidity. Do this, or insanity. Do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. That's what we're doing. We've done it for 5 years now. 5 years, and we're still here. You figure one of those 5 years they would have figured it out, or somebody in management would have said, holy crap, we can't be doing this every year. We got to fix it. And this is probably something easy that they not easy that they can fix. The players obviously have to go out and do it, but it's definitely something that is easily seeable by every fan, every news reporter, every team we play against are going in not scared of our power play in any way, shape, or form. So they really have to address it. They have to find somebody and bring them in and take care of this. Find the right guys, switch them up. I really like the thought of like maybe putting Bump in front of the net and letting him just stand there, like an old Wayne Simmons kind of guy, stand there. He had a tip in the other night doing the same thing, but change it up, figure out how to give other guys time if the guys that we have been giving can't get it done. All right, so moving on. Flyers have a lot of things that they did poorly in this game. This game was hard to watch. It was one of those games where they couldn't find tape to tape passes. When we got the puck, we would throw a pass up the ice, miss our guys, and give it to the other team. When we got the puck, we had so much pressure on us, we just dump it. Instead of having breakout plays, the Flyers defense and even the forwards at times are just chipping the puck up the ice, in the air up the ice to like nobody, like a Hail Mary pass. Hopefully there's a Flyer there when it lands, and that shows that they don't have a system. They don't have a system to get up the ice. We're just throwing it away, So if we're throwing it away and giving it to the other team all night long, then what does that say? That means we're chasing the team all night long and they're dictating play. We're not. They are, and we're chasing the game. And that has a lot to go back to why the Flyers are first in the league with allowing a goal scored against them. And it has to change. You need a system. You need a way to get out, break out of your zone and get up the ice, not just chipping pucks up the ice because, you have nothing else. So I'm going to blame some of it on the players. Obviously, they have to perform. But if this is a coaching thing, a system thing, then, Tocchet and his team have to figure out a different way of making this work. I really, really miss Torts hockey. I really do. When we first got Torts in here, his team was aggressive. They were as soon as they got their hands on the puck, it was an aggressive race down the ice, a big long pass, quick breakouts, and it was effective. The team got down the ice. Yeah, again, he still had some struggles with scoring goals and stuff, but the play was much different. I think this team had much more cardio. I think they were in way better shape. They were better skaters. They were faster aggressors on pucks. They all had some dog in them. They just couldn't finish. This team that we're seeing now under Tocchet is a lot more lackadaisical. Some guys do try hard, but when one guy's trying and some of the others aren't, that doesn't work. If one guy goes to one corner of the ice, he's assuming and expecting the rest of his team to be in different positions on the ice to cover. And when you go in and forecheck hard and the puck goes around the net and he thinks you're over there and you're not, that's a fall through on a system. And we see that a lot. You can see that all the time. Konechny's getting in over the line and Konechny's throwing, a puck from the right-hand boards and wrap it around the net to the other side of the ice, which is usually there's a defenseman over there to keep it in, and there's nobody there. And it happens constantly, like 1, 2, 3 times a game. We have a guy going up the right side, wrapping the puck around the net, and there's nobody on the boards on the other side. The puck just wraps around, goes all the way out and down the ice. And that's system. They're either these players don't understand the system, or Tocchet system isn't putting somebody there, or Tocchet system is putting somebody there, but the players aren't there, and Tocchet is not holding them accountable to this. And that's some hard love here. You want to be, a player favorite. You want to be a player's coach. You want the respect, not from, being a hammer, but being fair. And I think Tocchet needs to maybe be a little harder. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he's being really hard and this team just doesn't get it, or they already tuned him out. But there's just common sense things here, or simple things that should be happening. And like somebody in that spot on that wing being there, and there's nobody there. And it's simple little things like that are the reason why the Flyers lose games. Simple reasons like putting the wrong lines out at the wrong time of the game. Simple reasons like not shortening up the bench and putting team better lines out there when the game's on the line. Simple things like working this power play until you got it down. Every single solitary practice, and from now to the end of the year, that's what I would do. Work this power play, figure it out, get it done. Like 5 years now, 5 years, you have to fix it. So anyhow, that's all I have for tonight. Flyers had a tough game. I think the fans watching the game had a tough night. We expected more. Vladar, let me finish with Vladar. Vladar stood on his head again tonight. He made some wild saves. He really did. He kept them in this game, and thank God Vladar's on this team, and thank God he has the personality he does. He's such a good guy. He's such a teammate, a good teammate. I think somebody asked him at the end of the game, something about how do you think you played tonight or whatever, and his response, he only gave up like 2 goals, one in a shootout and one during regular time, and his response was, I should have saved one more shot. uh, Such a shame. He's such a good guy. He's been playing so hard, and the Flyers just can't figure out how to score for him, and I feel bad for Vlad, and I'm glad he's here, and hopefully he continues to play up to this level moving forward and makes a name for himself. So anyhow, with that said, we're going to check out now. We'll be back after, the next game, doing a recap. So somewhere in the next few weeks, I want to do a little show on Flyers book I'm reading and kind of go over that. So I'm going to come out with that later. But I'm going to do this book review about the Flyers in a show upcoming. It's a really good book. It's really interesting to read, and I think everybody will enjoy it. So with that, take care. Please look for us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Send us questions or ideas to our mailbag, which is HATTRICKS podcast99 @gmail.com. Go Flyers.